Welcome, everybody, to this episode of the Waiting in Queue podcast, brought to you by the Games Phreeks channel. This is like 97 or something like that.
97?
Or 96. Hold on, let me look.
We're on an episode.
No, we're at 98.
98. What are we going to do for the big 100?
I don't know. It'll probably be a backup episode.
Will it be? Let's see.
It might.
It might be a Christmas episode.
Might be.
We did decorate for Christmas. Go to Dag's camera. We did decorate. We're in the festive spirit. There's also a monkey upstairs.
There is a monkey upstairs making a lot of noise. Well, today we thought we'd talk about World of Warcraft Dragonflight. You can spin that on that, Matt.
Yeah, that's how fucking talented I am.
Jesus, dude.
That's how talented I am.
All right. Calm down.
Yeah, so a couple of things actually came out this week, but we are not talking about one of them because I want to play it and I don't want any of that to be spoiled, so I didn't look up anything of the game.
You're talking about Callisto Protocol?
Of course.
Yeah.
And then Dragonflight came out. What number expansion is this for World of Warcraft?
Oh, fuck, dude.
Let's see if we can remember. We got Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King,
Mista Pandaria? No.
Cataclysm,
Mista Pandaria.
Mop, Warlords of Draenor.
Yep.
Then we had...
Warlords
was
of
Battle
Draenor.
of Azeroth after Warlords of Draenor?
Either that or Legion. No, I think Legion, because then after that, then they went back to battling each other.
Something.
So
Legion, Battle of Azeroth.
Wait, hold on.
I'm just naming them.
Well, you have 7, I have 6.
Yeah, because you didn't name the other one.
I mean, I didn't.
All right, we'll restart because Derek wasn't paying attention. Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, Mop, Warlords of Draenor, Azeroth, Battle of Azeroth,
and
Legion.
Okay.
And then you have
what was after Legion?
Shadowlands.
Shadowlands, yep.
And then is it Dragonflight?
It might be.
I think it is. 9. I think
9 expansions.
I think that's what it is. 9 expansions for the game.
Is this like the longest running game with expansions now? Or has it been for a while?
I don't know if you could say that. It depends on what you consider. Let's see if we even got those in order right. Warlords of Draenor, Legion, Battle of Azeroth, Shadowlands, yeah, and then, man, we're good. We got those in order, dude.
Dang!
It's pretty good.
I looked at how many expansions are in World of Warcraft, and like, just straight up 9.
9.
9.
Yeah. So Dragonflight comes out. It's pretty early to see if it's going to be like better than Shadowlands, but I don't think Shadowlands like. They're in their honeymoon stage. Like right now, everybody's loving it. From what I'm seeing, I think there's like little things here and there, but from what I've been watching and what I've seen, I was like, man, this looks pretty good. But every time I see a WoW expansion, I'm like, I should play WoW again.
I think the only time I didn't really care for like a WoW expansion was like Battle for Azeroth. I was just like, I don't really feel that hyped about this one.
Yeah, I mean, we also you fell off the story.
Oh yeah, big time.
Because a lot of people say that like it's important to like follow the story in some degree, even if you're not like, even if you're just playing the game to play the game. But is my camera like?
No, it looks fine.
Oh, it's fine.
I thought it was frozen.
I didn't turn on this other light.
Uh-oh.
Production quality low.
Well, our camera quality is not super good. We gotta think about upgrading them bad boys.
I said something and you were like, yeah.
Shut up.
We can.
No, I'm
I'm
kidding.
totally fine with it, but
I lost my train of thought. Yeah, anyways, the story. We fell off the story. So I think, like, that loses it for you. Because like if you're following the story, I bet people are like, okay, this is gonna be pretty sick.
Yeah, but I also think like
because that was when that was during the time that Sylvanas was going all wacko.
Well, for me, like when a expansion trailer drops, there's always like a little bit of this is what's going to be coming to. So like
cinematic or gameplay,
like a cinematic, like the cinematic like trailer for the game.
Sure.
That usually gets me like, oh, that's going to be like cool, and then like you kind of can then look up what's like actually going to be coming to World of Warcraft, because like Wrath of the Lich King, the big bad guy, the Lich King, Cataclysm, big bad guy again. But then like you have Pandaria, where it's like
a good one.
That was a good one because it's like, oh, we're getting a new race, a new zone, and like that. But so even like Legion, like, oh, we're all going to this island to fight Gul'dan. Warlords or Draenor. We were supposed to be getting the player housing, which wasn't really player housing.
Yeah, not really. I mean, it was cool. It was a cool feature,
But then like Battle for Azeroth, it's just them, just like Horde and Alliance fighting each other, and I was kind of like, I'm not. Obviously, I'm not in the story, but it didn't really get me as hyped as like, oh, what's the big bad enemy in this one? I think the only thing that I got hyped on that one was that like Thrall was coming back. Obviously, I haven't really played World of Warcraft since Mr. Pandaria.
Yeah.
After that, I was like, I don't want to play this anymore.
been out of the game for a while.
But do you see what I mean? Like, they all have like that little bit of excitement to it, whereas Battle for Azeroth was just like them talking.
Yeah, but I think they were fighting again because like Sylvanas is, and I don't know if this is true, but Sylvanas was like putting, like almost doing that on purpose so that way she could actually do her true plan, which was like taking over everything.
Mm-hmm.
She was like all like, we gotta go back to the old for the Horde stuff, and then King Anduin was all mad because his dad died and all that. I don't know if that's true, but that's just what I'm getting. Like I said, if you're following the story, but I do get what you're saying. It's like, well, there's no big bad guys, what you're saying. But in there was, but like it's not like the Lich King or like.
Yeah,
Deathwing.
Just like that cinematic for me.
I mean, fuck,
that doesn't mean
Warlords
anything.
of Draenor
but...
was the same bad guy we fought in Burning Crusade practically.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Legion was kind of the same thing that we did in Burning Crusade again. And we're fighting the Legion. It's just like every other thing. But it Dragonflight, the marketing was weird because they, and I don't know if this was Blizzard's, I think this was IGN did like a review on the game, and then the way that they did it, I was like, this guy has never played WoW in his entire life.
Dude, I don't think like game reporters now, they don't really care about playing games.
I think game reporters who specifically report on one game play the game, but I think game reporters who record or like create a article on every game that comes out, I think they play a very limited amount of that game to get a gist. But I do not think that they like play the game.
Yeah, I mean that's
because there's like a lot of Destiny Forbes guys who like write for Forbes, and they're on the gaming side of Forbes, and those guys like Paul Tassi, he's pretty famous. He's like huge in the Destiny community. He only plays Destiny, but then he does Forbes articles for Destiny, and he's brutal to it. But he plays the game,
right?
But like you said, I don't think a lot of them actually play.
Well, I think World of Warcraft would definitely have to be one of those. You have to be one of those people that's played it almost from the start, or at least like you go back and play like Classic. Because now, if you're a new game reporter, and they tell you, "Hey, Dragonflight's coming out. We want you to play it and do a report on it," and then you've never played World of Warcraft in your life, the first time you play it, and then they say like, "Oh, you can do this and this," but it's like that's always been in the game, but he doesn't know that because he's only played the expansion. This is just this is a speculation thing, not like that's not.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
That's what I'm saying. Like those people might have to play the game from the beginning.
I wonder if they pick people though that have like a
experience in
that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, do you have experience in like MMO RPGs? And he's like, yeah. But this guy was like, oof. This guy said it was just weird because he's like, Dragonflight's coming out and you're going to be able to ride your very own dragon. And it was so funny because when I first heard that just watching the video, in my head I was like, motherfucker, I've been flying, and I'm a mount collector. I was like, I've been flying fucking dragons since the day I could fly in the game. Like the expansion I can fly in the game. And I was like, that's such a weird thing to say. And I was like, this is so, why would you say that?
Yeah, it don't make any sense.
The way he said it. And then I go down in the comments and everybody's like, this guy hasn't played a day of WoW in his entire life. We've all been flying dragons since Burning Crusade. Like, we've all had dragons.
Yeah.
But what he meant is in Dragonflight, you get your very own, like, Proto-Drake, the new Proto-Drake dragons, and you can customize it and, like, unlock skins and like, colors for it by doing challenges in the game.
Which I've seen...
like doing dragon races and stuff.
Somebody pulled up a side-by-side video of somebody playing Spyro with it, and it's like almost exactly the same.
I saw Asmongold was watching it too. He's like, what? This is a copy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it...
But, like, what else are you going to do for dragon racing or stuff like that?
I mean, it's the same thing. Look at Sparrow Racing in Destiny. It was just Need for Speed.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone gets so, like, what do you mean it's the same thing? But it's like...
you're racing.
What else are you going to do? What are you expecting them to, like, fly and run at the same time?
I'm surprised we've never had mount races in the game before. It's such a good idea. Everybody's got mounts. Why not
do some races?
We had in Wrath of the Lich King, we had jousting.
Yeah, you had jousting,
so
and then
fun.
I think Warlords of Draenor. Actually, you know what? Warlords of Draenor was actually the last one that I stopped in Pandaria, but then when Draenor came out and was the like, oh, there's player housing and they were gonna do all this stuff, I was like, okay, I'm actually gonna come back. And then after a little bit, I was like, all right, I'm not. But anyways, I think that one was when you could do like your pet and like do pet battles, like Pokemon battles.
Warlords of Draenor was.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I think that's...
Yeah, a lot of people don't like that feature.
I think it's all right.
I think it's a cool feature.
Yeah, it's
add,
like it's better than not having it.
I think it's become more of a joke than anything, because they're like, I can't believe they put so much time into pet battles when they could be like making the game good. Because this is the thing, is we don't know. And I don't really play WoW anymore, but I watch a lot of people who play it. They tend to play it for like 2-3 months, and then they're like, it's just not fun to play anymore. Compared to like how it used to be with like even up into like Legion and stuff. But like these last couple, they like play them for like 2 months, and then that's when you start to see what's wrong with the expansion.
Yeah.
Like right now you're in that feeling and it's the same thing for everything. Same thing for seasons for Destiny. It's like you play the first few months, you're like, okay, this is awesome, I'm getting all the content, getting all this new shit, and then it gets stale because you're just rinse and repeating every week. And now that WoW's on a season-based style as well, I think it's the same thing. But I think right now everybody's enjoying it. But I mean, everybody's gonna enjoy it right now. It's just came out. Of course, you're gonna enjoy it. It's new.
Everyone's leveling.
Did you see the talent system?
Yeah, it's kind of going back to a little bit more.
What the fuck, bro? Why?
Well, they
stop making. Just keep talent trees.
Well, yeah, they went back to your classic through Wrath talent trees. Cataclysm. I think that's when they changed it.
I watched like a developer thing. They said the reason that they went back to that is because when they redid Classic, everybody was like, oh, this is awesome, because you had people come to play Classic that have never played Classic before using the Classic talent tree, and they're like, this is how talent trees should be.
Yes. And
now a majority of players as a whole are like, what the hell? Why do we have this? The worst time in WoW talent trees was around Warlords of Draenor, where it was like every tier, you had tiers, and then you had 3 choices in each tier.
Yeah.
It became that every warrior ran the same thing. Every single paladin, same thing. every druid, same exact thing. There was no differentiation in any of the classes because you always picked the highest DPS, the highest heals, the highest survivability, depending on what you were doing. Nobody was running a different class, and it killed the game. I mean, it killed part of the aspects.
It really
of the
did.
game.
I loved the early talent trees because you were like, all right, I want this, I want this, I want this through like one. You pretty much picked one to start out with, but then once you got to the bottom, it's like, okay, do you want to put your leftover talents into the next trees? And it's like, that's fucking awesome. I love that because it was so much of building something.
Yeah,
actually,
it felt like more of a reward. I will say, usually in those kinds of games, even in those talent trees, people were still pretty much picking the same thing. But you did have here and there where somebody would have a couple extra points in this because they felt like Berserk was better than.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
trait.
I would look up like what are like the top DPS like running for this. But then when I like play it, I'm like, well, I don't like this cooldown over like this cooldown or something like that. So then I would change it to more of my play style.
Right.
And but it's so much more customizable even.
Yeah.
Like it's just.
And this one seems like a lot bigger, and it kind of has like a more of like a tree kind of aspect to it.
Yeah, that's good. I did hear about that, and I was happy. I feel like I remember when the trees that system came in, and everyone. I felt like everybody was like, "This is awful. This is terrible," and I don't.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was like okay with that.
Yeah, and that's shocking to me that a developer said like, "Oh, it was when everyone went back to classic," and like, I think it's just like everyone was like, "Yeah, this is how World of Warcraft should always have been."
You also got to think that the developer who said that is like she's new to the game now because they went through and fired like a very large amount of developers and
well, it also is probably
hired a lot of.
What's also probably happened was, at the height of World of Warcraft, they have like 12 million subscribers. That's a lot of casual players too, and a lot of casual players.
Back in Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that, but I would also say that like back in the day during that time, a lot of those players were like playing only that game and they were playing it a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, but I'm saying out of 12 million new subscribers, a lot of them are going to be casual players, and to keep numbers going up, like obviously they always want to, they probably were like, well, we need to cater to casual players and make it.
Sure.
I mean, all video games try to
for sure, there needs to be a happy medium, and I think it's bad if you don't make it easier for people to come into the game. I find it when I was younger, I was like, fuck casuals. Like, this game's not for you if you don't want to spend the time and put the time in the game. But as I've gotten older, I realize, like, man, I don't have time to put in the game like that, but I still want to play the game to its fullest. I would like things to be minorly easy for me to acquire things and do things to the full aspect of the game, not me just getting on for an hour and being okay, I can only do this because I only have time for this. I want to be able to experience the whole game. So I don't think it's bad that they cater, but there has to be like a happy medium for people who do play it a lot.
Yes, absolutely. I think this kind of goes back to this also relates to people that actually play a video game just to play it on their free time versus people that try to like stream video games and make content out of it. Because streamers want something a little bit different from a game so they can make content easier, whereas normal players, they kind of want it like Call of Duty skill-based matchmaking. All the streamers don't want it because it's easier for them to make content out of it. But a lot of casual players was like, dude, I'd rather prefer that. I'd rather always play against somebody that's always like at my level instead of like that one chance I'm playing against a fucking god that's gonna like destroy me and not even let me spawn. I mean, it's a small example, but
yeah, people say that like streaming has kind of like ruined that aspect of gaming because, like you said, they want the games to cater to them. I don't know. It's weird.
And the problem is like
I just play games. I don't really have like a preference on like skill. I do and I don't on skill-based matchmaking. I think games should have it, but I think you should have an option to like. I think in a casual sense, skill-based matchmaking should 100% be implemented in any sort of ranking system. I don't care what anybody says. But if you're going to quick play, you can
it's
turn
just
it
whatever.
off or
Yeah.
just not be there. That would be fine. But if you're doing any sort of ranking, it should be skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah, 100%.
But like for WoW, I haven't played it in a while. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's the same thing every time. But
yeah, it really is. But
9
people
expansions though, it's pretty good.
yeah, I mean, people still like the game. It's like they want to keep playing a game like that, and at least like the new content allows them to like keep it a little bit more instead of running the same raid over and over again.
Oh
and then,
yeah,
like,
no, they have to keep it.
Um,
I'm not saying like stop implementing things.
yeah,
There's people who like still only play that World of Warcraft that love World of Warcraft. I mean, I think you should. It's awesome.
It's crazy the amount of time you kind of have to put into that game because remember
Game's not for casuals.
No, absolutely not.
I don't think any MMO is really for casuals.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we wanted to put in the time to play Wrath of the Lich King Classic when it was coming out, but then we were leveling up our Burning Crusade characters to get them ready for Wrath, and the time we put in, we were like, I can't do this. I can't do this in Wrath.
Well, the more I realized, I was like, if we want to actually push raids in Wrath, you wouldn't be able to play anything else during that until you started pushing raids, and then you were like, okay, I'm geared enough now that it's okay if I miss a raid week.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted to push raids in Wrath regularly with a guild that like regularly did it, you're just not gonna be able to do it. The game's not for casuals.
and you had to find a schedule of like, if you were trying to do it regularly, you had to find a guild that was doing it at this time. You could get in that time slot and like be accepted into the guild. Like it's a lot to manage, and there's a lot of time you got to put into it to
be good.
And
yeah, I mean, you could play Wrath of the Lich King casually and jump in, and like we did when we were kids. I don't think we were hardcore. I mean, we were hardcore players, but we played in a casual sense. Like we weren't pushing raids. We raided here and there, but we weren't pushing top tier raids. We weren't trying to get the best in slot set. Like we didn't have transcripts. We were just playing the game because we enjoyed playing the game.
We weren't even in a guild that was like a raiding guild. We were in a casual guild where it's just like, hey, help
a bunch of people helping out, question, and just enjoying the game. And there's a lot of people who just do that, which is fine. But it's just I don't like that. If I'm playing the game, I want to do the top tier shit. That's why I'm playing the game.
I think in high school I did enjoy like finding a group to do a raid, and it was just and that was it.
It makes you feel good though when you're like in those top tier things and you like complete
I
them
think
and you're like, damn.
Now I would like to be in a guild where we're raiding regularly, but obviously we can't put in the time to do it. Unless...
No. I mean, we could, but it would mean that you're not playing any other game. You're not focusing on any other... Like, when you're playing video games, you're playing WoW.
Yes.
There's no in-between ands, ifs, or buts about it. Like, you got to push. You're going to be pushing.
You're pushing, yeah.
Unless you're good at the game and you can quickly get your stuff really fast, which would come down to, like, having more time during the week to do that, which we don't have. But yeah, it'd be like the only game you're playing.
Yeah. So just not for us. Yeah. Again,
Asmongold like did a good video where he was like, "Yeah, it's not for casual players." He's like, because what happens is you gotta level your character if you don't buy a boost, and then you gotta like do this to do that, and then you gotta do this thing. But oh wait, you don't have that yet? Oh, you gotta go do that. And then he's like, okay, then you get that, but then you find out that like that doesn't really work anymore. So now you got to go get something else. And then he's like, then you got to do these quest lines, but then you also want to level your alt because your first main character doesn't put out enough DPS to get in the raid. So you got to level an alt, and now you got to do it all again. But then you find out that that thing's not working, and now they're switching to this time. And he's like, I mean, it's just WoW. It's not made for casual players, no matter how much you like try to make it out. So like, I think going back to some of the old ways like they're doing in Dragonflight is probably a smart way to keep people happy in the game.
Yeah, definitely.
You want to keep your biggest player base there, and your biggest player base is not your casual players.
I mean,
that's not true. Your biggest play base is the casual players, but your most dedicated fans are the ones who are playing it. Like
I've always said this. Your dedicated fans, they're going to be there a long time. Your casuals, they're going to quit. They will eventually.
Dedicated fans might go away and play a different game, but they're always going to come back next season.
Yeah. So it seems really dumb to try to cater to the casual players because they're going to quit no matter what. No matter how easy you make it for them, they're going to quit. They're not going to become the new dedicated players. You might have some.
I'm just going to say some will probably.
Some. Yeah. I'm not saying it's like a hard stop.
I know what you're talking about.
Like,
yeah.
But if you cater to those casuals too much, your dedicated players are going to start leaving more. I mean, it kind of has. Obviously, they still have them, but do you think as many of those dedicated...
will never, ever be at the level it was during Wrathful.
Yeah, no, it's gone.
And Blizzard knows that.
Mm-hmm.
It will just never... There's too many other MMOs in the market. They still have probably one of the best MMOs out there. But there's too many MMOs in the market, and there's too many other games too. And it's just like you said, sometimes they cater to things that just doesn't make sense, and then they like won't change it for expansions, and then they do the same loop where like an expansion comes out, and they don't really like the things that they change. Usually are like useless things. From what I'm seeing, people are like, this is stupid. Like, why are you changing this? Or they change things that worked that, I don't know. It's just...
and...
I'm not dissing Dragonflight either.
No.
Awesome,
looks good. Looks great. I think the customizable dragon is cool.
That's so cool.
That's a pretty cool idea. I remember when Classic wasn't like a thing and players kept asking for Classic because a lot of people would make Classic servers,
which was illegal.
Illegal, but it was like, that's just what we want to play. We don't want to play any of this new stuff. And I remember at like a BlizzCon or something, somebody asked like, "Hey, when are we ever gonna Classic WoW?" And one of the developers was like, "Well, you really want to go back to Classic? Because remember, we added Dungeon Finder. You want to see that gone?" And I'm like, you think that everybody loves Dungeon Finder?
Didn't they keep Dungeon Finder in Classic?
They kept it in... no, they took it out of Wrath of the Lich King Classic. Because so many people like it.
But it's in Classic.
It's not in Classic.
It's not the same kind of Dungeon Finder, but it's like a group finder.
It's a group finder, not the...
It's not like the queued timer.
Yeah, that's like
you go
the
in
Dungeon
and
Finder.
you put your name in, you put what dungeons you're looking for, and then other people can also do it, and then it's kind of like what Bungie does.
It's a
group finder.
It's a group finder, but it's not like you're talking to people or like looking through lists. And then like other people, it would find people from other servers too to like speed it up.
Right, the one that they made. I'm talking about the one that's in Classic. It is just a list.
Yeah, that one's not like the
no.
Yeah,
of course.
I don't really consider that Dungeon Finder.
It's not a Dungeon Finder.
Yeah.
It's a group finder. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Dungeon Finder. It's like you just click what you want to do, and then
it puts you in a queue.
Yeah, it puts you in a queue.
That argument where like people are like, you really want to go back, is the same argument that Call of Duty players make when they're like, do you really want to go back to Modern Warfare 4? I'm like, bro, you were 3 when that game comes out. Chill out.
Oh, I love.
Yes, I want to go back to Modern Warfare where the noob tube was so overpowered it pissed you off.
Yeah, they were like that
because
game.
Everything else about the game was fucking awesome.
Well, and then like that game was so unbalanced. Every fucking Call of Duty has always been unfucking balanced.
I think unbalanced is better than having a meta.
Yeah,
it should be unbalanced. There should be guns. You can't say that. You can't say that it should be unbalanced.
No, but
you don't want it drastically unbalanced. But there should definitely be guns that like are superior over other guns.
Yeah. It's gonna happen. It doesn't even like you don't even have to be like, oh, we have to make.
There's
this
nothing
better.
you can do about it unless like every single assault rifle shoots the same exact damage, exact same range, exact same fire rate, everything except for the fact that it's skinned different because this is an AK and that's an M4. Mm-hmm. They're never gonna do that though because then there's no reason of even putting multiple guns in the game.
Yeah.
So there's always gonna be guns that are better than other guns. It's always gonna be unbalanced, and then every time they do and it's for every game. World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Call of Duty. Yeah, I want it to go fucking back to the old days.
Yeah. I get tired of also hearing people go, "Oh, you want it back in the old days because it's nostalgia." Like,
of course.
yeah, sure, that's
the
part
whole.
of it.
That's the whole reason.
But the game was also just all around better.
I liked
still.
the game. I liked the game. Why is it such a big deal that I prefer to play Call of Duty in the style of Modern Warfare 4 than this garbage fucking Modern Warfare 2? They can't even make a new name.
No.
Can't even think of a fucking new name. They're so lazy.
Keep the same name. Add another $10 to it. Modern Warfare 2.
Actually, Modern Warfare 4 was only a $50 game.
Was it really?
Yeah, because $60 games got implemented when we were in like high school.
Oh.
Or like late middle school. We were buying when we were first playing games, I'm pretty sure we were buying games at $50 a pop. Because they had a price raise and then they raised the prices again to $70 like a year ago. Can you find anything?
I'm gonna see. I think that might be like a weird thing to start. How much was Call of Duty sold for?
You're not gonna find like a. But I'm almost positive that games were like only $50 back then. Because then I remember they went to $60 because my parents were like, "Oh my God, they're $60 now." Like I thoroughly remember that, but who knows?
I honestly didn't. I mean,
going back to,
I would love video games to be $50 again. I thought 60 was still kind of a fair price, but I think 70 is, and it's only gonna get up higher. But I think 70 was like, all right, this is getting kind of
70's rough.
Yeah, 70 is rough.
That's why I don't have Callisto right now. It's like $70 for a game, dude. And I get it's more expensive to make them, but Jesus. Did you see that going back to Activision Blizzard, did you see that Microsoft halted the acquisition?
Oh, they did? Well, a lot of companies are trying to stop it too. Like
it's an interesting acquisition.
I think the government was even trying to stop it.
I think it would be better for the company if Microsoft owned it, but
I think so too.
They also said that if Microsoft does do it, Phil Spencer said that he would love to see StarCraft and Warcraft ported to consoles.
Okay.
I mean, those games could be ported.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason that they're not is because Activision doesn't want them to be. That's also why Warcraft, remember they were making another Warcraft?
Making another one, or they remastered?
They already remastered, but they were making another one, and then Activision took over the company, and they pretty much halted that.
I don't understand why those.
Oh, I'll tell you why right now, and they've said why. There's no market for RTS games. They don't make enough money. So Activision was like, we're not doing that.
Yeah,
But Blizzard's like, are you fucking crazy? That's not true either. RTSs, they have a market, but they don't have a market like Call of Duty. And that's why Activision says no. Because they only fucking want money, dude. Activision's the worst. They're the worst. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody's all mad about EA and all that. I'll tell you right now, they're not. Activision's the worst. I don't think EA's nearly as bad.
Yeah, at least EA's kind of kept it to
Sports.
I mean, shit. Early like EA games were actually pretty decent.
EA games still are decent. I mean, so are Activision games, but like they're halting the production of games that I think would do really, really good because they're too worried about, like you said before off podcast, where you're like, well, it's a risk. I'm like, oh my God, it's a fucking multi-billion-dollar company. What's a risk here and there? They made $1 billion on Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
I just think their mindset is it's a risk that we don't really need to take or want to take, and then they're just like, let's just keep what's working.
You're in the wrong.
I mean,
you're in the wrong field though. Then you're making
you are,
entertainment.
because like the best, what makes a video game company good is they are making a variety. It doesn't matter the cost. They're gonna probably make money off of it anyways. But it's like, bro, people. There's so many like small niches that you can. Video games is almost about. It's like partly community too.
I think it's more than partly. I think it's 100% community. I think that's what makes games actually successful, is the community behind the game. I mean, a game could be shit and there's plenty of games out there now that are non-for-profit games that have been abandoned by actual companies that non-for-profit developers have taken up and make zero money off of it, but put hundreds of thousands of dollars into the game to keep them running, just so the community can keep playing them because EA or somebody has deemed it non-profitable. But yet those non-for-profit companies are getting money from the actual players because the players are willing to give you the money to keep the game running. I mean, look at it's just, the community is massive for games. I think that's why it's important to listen to the community when you're developing a game. Be transparent with the development of games and stop worrying about that final figure. Obviously, you're running a company. You have to turn a profit. I mean, they have to turn a profit.
Yeah.
That's their job. And
I think
they're not trying to make money.
Yeah, it's just so infuriating because, like, here's a multi-billion-dollar company. They could run the course on just like every possible like game genre there is and probably be pretty successful in it and like make a game that everybody wants to play, but they would rather not because they're like, we're not going to spend the money when this is just working right here. It's like, okay, fine, whatever, but
that's why Microsoft is a good company to acquire Blizzard, is what I'm saying, because Microsoft is one of the only companies out here that takes massive risks with their company and create entertainment that they know might not do well. Microsoft's the only one that's putting out like these, like Pentiment. You don't think Pentiment was a risk for Microsoft to put out?
Big time.
They're not making that money back on Pentiment. No way. But look at it. It's honestly ranked as like one of the highest released games this year. I mean, people love it. Not only that, Civilization, one of the biggest RTS games in history, is ran by Microsoft. There's money in other genres
yeah,
that
absolutely.
aren't fucking first-person shooters or MMOs.
It's not going to be as much.
You might not make $1 billion, but that's because you're not scamming fucking people out of it, because the communities of RTS know what they want and they know what they want to play. It's not a bunch of fucking dumb idiot fucking high school kids getting Call of Duty every time they see the name.
I'm pretty excited for this that Settlers game.
Oh, I'm playing Settlers.
I think that's kind of there's kind of a small community with that game. Like, it's not like a big title like game that Ubisoft makes. They make it because it's like, hey, we know there's a market for it.
There's a niche
market
community for it. Yeah.
So, yeah. Connor, we should start our own video game business.
Do we complain too much about this stuff? Katie, do you think that this podcast is more just of us getting on here complaining about gaming?
I mean, not necessarily, but that is a big part of it. But it's not a bad thing to be saying either, because like, I think it's reasonable.
I think the problem with gaming is that people aren't complaining enough. I mean, we are, but game companies aren't going to change because we're still giving them. We're still giving them the money.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. There's just like so many other like super popular games that aren't even like. This sounds weird, but I feel like most games that are played the most nowadays, besides Call of Duty and World of Warcraft and Overwatch and all these like big hitters, but like there's a lot of like these subgenre games that I think have like just as many people playing those than those big games. Like, you have all these horror games that everybody plays, and you see it all the time. Like, you see people playing them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we're kind of starting to see.
We're definitely seeing a shift in.
Well, what I think we're starting to see is because you kind of notice this through like the generations of humans, like back probably when our parents, when they were kids, you know, everyone was like, their dream job was to be an actor or an athlete, and they're all obsessed over like the one sport. And but now like all of us have grown up, all their kids. You're into anime, Katie's into video games, somebody else is into hockey. Like everyone's like starting to branch off and to be more interested in like those things.
Well, you can see those things more.
Oh yeah, and then
easily.
like and social media, like that shows off like they pretty much like have said like they will try to get you more interested in the things that you're slightly interested in, so to keep you on the platform and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's easier to join communities and everything.
So we're definitely seeing that in video games because now, I mean, I remember back going to a video game store. Me personally, there wasn't like any like trailers I was like waiting for or anything. It was just, oh, this game looks fun. This game looks fun. This game looks fun. Now I'm waiting for like certain AAA games, and then like waiting for like indie developers to come out with a game.
The next
and like
thing.
I feel like the AAA titles, there's like only a handful of big ones now that are like still going. There's more, but like I mean
you're saying like you don't feel like there's as many like one shot games coming out.
Yes,
which is true. From AAA.
From AAA, they're all going to be making the same game, and I mean,
we've also changed. Like it's also changed to a live service style play now, where I mean, like Call of Duty's live service, Destiny's live service, Halo's live service, Overwatch, WoW's even live service. Oh, WoW's technically always been a live service game in a sense, but
yeah.
Diablo 4 is going to be a live service season-based game now, which technically always was, but like,
and I'm
more on the season style.
I'm totally fine with live service games. I think
I like live service games.
It's just always been just the launches of not always, but usually is always a little bit rocky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have all made that assumption of, oh, we know we can just fix it later. It's like that's kind of, I hate it, but it's like, yeah, we'll get possibly fixed later. I mean, Anthem was supposed to get fixed later. Never did, and didn't have content either.
Anthem got dropped because like it was supposed to get fixed, but every time they would put out a patch, it would break something again, and it got to the point where players were like, "We're here waiting for you guys to fix this game. We love playing this game. It's fun." And people were dealing with the fact that there was no content because the game was fun to play and the weapons were fun and everything was cool. And everybody, including me, was like, okay, I'm going to wait up through a couple patches. I'm going to keep playing. Maybe these patches will fix it. But every time a patch would come out, a major break would happen from the patch. And it's like, you can only sit through that so many times before you just start losing. You're just like, well, they're not going to fix anything if they're just going to fucking break something again.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to fix the foundation before you can add things. So
I also wasn't a big fan of their big end content. There was
no end content.
Well, that maelstrom or whatever, that giant.
Oh, the thing that got added 3 months later.
Yeah, they were like, it's coming 3 months later. I was like, okay, not good.
There was no end content in that game.
And then it came out, and I remember I was like, I'm gonna watch a video and see what they did, and it's just like
I played it.
Well, they just added like all the objectives from like the other.
Yeah, it's just like a tornado thing, and
yeah, I was like,
You know, don't get me on the Anthem thing right now, dude.
We called that thing the Destiny Killer.
It was going to be the Destiny Killer.
Yeah.
As somebody who's put 4,000 plus hours in Destiny, I will tell you right now, if that game would have come out with a good foundation and good end content, Destiny players would have 100% left to play that game because Destiny 2 was at a very bad state right there.
Yeah, it was like, dude, we're still like waiting for the game that you guys have been like promising us, and we kept doing this. They'll get in the next expansion, but then like Anthem got announced, and like they're showing off some stuff there.
Everybody was like, "This is exactly what Destiny should be."
Yes,
yeah, we're leaving. Yeah. Like, no, I was, and even I told you guys, I was like, I'm leaving Destiny.
I said that too. I was like,
I'm done playing Destiny when this game comes out.
Yeah,
and I did. I stopped playing Destiny for that game for like 2 months, and then I was like, they're not fixing anything, bro. There's nothing to do. We maxed out our things. We get the top layer gear. We had the top. I had, I think we did, but I know I had like the top tier gear in every slot. I had the weapons I liked using. I had the abilities I liked using. I had 3 suits decked, and there was nothing to do. I mean, there was like 3 strikes or dungeons or whatever they were called there. And that's all you could run. And those were fun, but it's like there's only 3 of them, so there's not enough to like just feel like, okay, I'm going to go grind these. But there's only 3. So like you might do the same one 4 times in a row before you do another one. And then on top of it, the one of the 3 was the final mission of the game. It's like, what the fuck, dude? And then there's no raids that were promised. The Maelstrom was such a cool idea where it was like every like few months the Maelstrom would come and completely reshape the world because it was so strong, and then like you might come back and it was like covered in snow the next season. Awesome. So cool. Because it would have changed up the whole map, and remember that's what was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to fight back the Maelstrom, but it would destroy things and add new things. Not there.
Yeah.
The fucking city was supposed to be dope with like people everywhere and a very active city. It was the worst player hub in gaming history. Could have been so cool. And it's not all the developers' fault on that one. They kind of got
They got screwed.
They got majorly fucked by suits on that one. But like, oh, that game would have for sure killed Destiny if it like had content. Yeah, because Destiny was like right before the Moon expansion, wasn't it? Shadowkeep?
No, it was way before that.
Was it during Osiris?
It might have been during Osiris,
which was like that was bad. that was not a good time for Destiny. Curse of Osiris.
Oh, okay, maybe. Hold on. So 2019.
Or was it before Forsaken?
Hold on.
I wish I knew. Oop, can't sing that. We'll get copyright struck because I sing it so perfectly good. I will say this while Derek's searching this. I feel like we do complain. I complain too much about video games.
Yeah. What was the first Destiny 2 expansion? That would have been Forsaken.
No. Is Forsaken the first one? I thought that was the second one.
What was the first one then?
It might. I think you might be right. Because technically they count Trials of Osiris and the War Mine as expansions.
Okay, then yeah, like Forsaken in September, Shadowkeep in October. Yeah, you're right. Shadowkeep 2019.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And that was a bad time. That was one of the worst times, just like Osiris. Not as bad, but the problem with Shadowkeep is we got the same thing. We got the moon, and it was the exact same layout prior, except for one spot. We got the Crimson. We got one dungeon. We didn't get a raid in that expansion, which people were pissed about.
Oh, I know. Like I think every Destiny
we did get a dungeon, which was new. That was a new feature, but it wasn't a raid.
Yeah, but I think.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I would have had the same.
It's probably somebody out there.
I think it's Mom. Food.
Yeah, probably.
I think for Destiny, with how much they do kind of like rehashing some of that stuff,
yeah.
I don't think it's too much to ask for a raid and a dungeon every season.
That expansion should have had a raid. I think now I wouldn't want a raid every season because the only reason I don't want it every expansion
is what I meant.
Yeah, but not every season because that would be significantly too much content to have to like grind and get everything.
Well, and even develop.
Yeah, we do get a raid every other one though.
Okay, that's not bad.
Now we get a dungeon one season, and then the next season we get a raid, and then we get a dungeon, and then we get a raid. One of the raids is a reprised raid, So we get a raid from Destiny 1 back into Destiny 2, and then we get a brand new raid, which is the expansion raid. So like on Tuesday we get a dungeon.
Gotcha.
Because we got King's Fall raid, the last expansion. Or the last season, this season. So yeah, but Shadowkeep was a bad time, so that was the perfect time for Anthem to swoop in there and suck us all away. I mean, Bungie definitely would have jumped back, I think, but because Bungie puts out good shit. They always have. Halo. I mean, you can't beat Halo. And then Halo turned into shit when 343 took it over.
Yeah.
But everything that Bungie released on Halo's title has been absolutely phenomenal. You know, and their games prior to Halo, I guess I've never played any of them, but like Metro and all that, or not Metro, or was it called Metro?
I don't remember what their like game was before Halo.
But it was like an alien style game, like Halo, and then people loved that game, and they had other games that everybody loved, but that was before I was playing on PC, so that was back when every game was a PC game.
yeah.
But
well, because Halo came out when the first Xbox came out.
Yep.
Because they were like, this is like the package that Microsoft was like, this is what we're offering.
The Rock.
The Rock. And Bill Gates was there.
Bill Gates announced the release of the. Or showed it off. I think it was already released, but I think they showed it. They unveiled it.
Have you seen the original like Xbox Live commercial?
Yeah. It is the most cringiest, but the greatest commercial in like gaming history. Where they're like, you can
change your voice.
Yeah,
which is cool.
They're wearing like those like tiny fucking over the ear.
Oh yeah, the like standard issue one. Which Xbox 360 days, I wore those a lot because I didn't have a headset yet.
Yeah, so did I. It was before stereo. Well, it wasn't before stereo headsets, but I don't think like consoles were using stereo headsets.
No, because like for the Xbox 360 controller, it was like the 2.5 millimeter jack, not the 3.5. You know, a whole 1 millimeter does make a lot of difference. That's what I tell my wife.
My wife. I was gonna bring the hawk up here.
Katie, was that my mom?
Yeah, I think food's here.
All right, see you guys.